Hey fan peeps, this is your podcast host Kunal here. I started this during the pandemic, and in this podcast I discuss my nerdy thoughts and hobbies with you, with the occasional special guest. From anime to Zeppelins, we talk about it all. So tell me why you hate Tears of the Kingdom.
Everything's brown. It's just brown. Like, I don't even know what land it is.
Don't you know me, though? Like, what's wrong with being brown?
It's not the skin tone, because first off, Link is a cutie pie, and he's got, like, the little sluttiest outfits in this game, this iteration. Hilarious. I love it. There's...
Especially the Gerudo outfit.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anybody, but we got some pretty slutty ones. He's an icon.
He's around. Yeah. I mean, honestly, even before Tears of the Kingdom, he was always like an attractive figure.
Yeah. I mean, he's like fucking ripped.
Especially now.
It's insane.
Yes.
God, honestly, I wish I could have had his body.
And we are talking about the 18 and above Link, right? 100% on this
Was he ever a child? I'm so sorry.
In Ocarina of Time, I think he was a kid.
I take back everything that I've just said.
No, man. Like, there's tons of games where he's an adult, so it's totally fine. But I'm just putting that out there for everybody there, that it's just like, we are talking about adults, 18 years and older. Yes. The voiceless protagonists in Legend of Zelda. And it's just pretty great. Like, so you find it too brown.
Yes.
You find it, but you find it like nice and sexy at the same time. Yeah?
Because his outfits actually have color. The clothes are colorful. Like, we've got some reds. We've got some oranges, I think. But the land, it's like when you're like building shit and you're outside, legitimately everything is brown. Like, I don't know if that's just my memory, but I distinctly remember one place just being several shades of like brown and orange. It's just so boring to me.
Have you been, so you don't have it, do you?
No.
You're not playing?
No.
Okay, gotcha. You do have a Switch?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, what else do you like on the Switch?
Huge Mario Kart 8 fan. I'm a little cracked.
I was crushing. My brother and I were crushing his kids like this past week. It was hilarious.
One of my favorite things to do on Mario Kart 8 is play on holidays when like kids typically get gifts. So like they'll get it for like Christmas or something, and then they'll excitedly play it and go on online mode immediately, and I just fucking destroy them. I love it.
Fuck yeah. Who do you play as?
Who do I play as? Oh, King Boo. Always me.
King Boo's pretty good. I typically go for Tanuki Mario.
Okay, fascinating. Interesting stats on that one.
Yeah, I also just like the little things he does whenever you do like tricks.
Right.
So it's fucking adorable.
I like King Boo's little butt, his little tail.
He does have a cute butt, or yeah, whatever the tail of a ghost is. Yeah. Koopa is really good to play as because he's just fast. He's just really, really fucking fast. Yeah. Yeah. It's, that must bring so much satisfaction just crushing little kids' dreams and hopes by playing Mario Kart. Because I want to join you, in fact, because that sounds awesome.
It does. But then, like, on like peak periods, you play against like the people who are like fucking insane at it.
That's so true. And then it crushes you. And then
literally,
and then you're like, well,
because half the time I think that they're cheating, and I have no idea how you cheat at Mario Kart 8. I had no idea there were hacks for it, but some of these people are like 8,000 feet ahead of you. It's wild.
Yeah, like I don't like. There's always a way to outsmart the mousetrap as such, and I honestly feel like that's the best way to get into this. There's always a way that technology can be meddled with. So we've been talking about Mario Kart for a couple of minutes and Nintendo games altogether, but I'm joined by my good friend Maddie. Maddie, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And you recently got into the world of artificial intelligence, right?
Yes.
Cool. And so can you share that journey a little bit? Can you tell us how you got into it a little bit?
So I started out of undergrad as a counselor.
Ooh.
And my work was focused on at-risk kids. So I would visit them at their homes when they were experiencing acute symptoms. So, attempting, to harm themselves, harm other people, whatever. I would kind of get them out of crisis mode and then either choose, based on, everything, choose to whether hospitalize them or just set up a plan of treatment for them. And that was
that explains why you have such a calm.
it was a lot.
I know
it was a lot,
and I mean as a compliment.
No, thank you. It got a little overwhelming, and I was doing it at a part of my life in which I still had some healing to do, and I think helping other people on that journey and being on that journey myself was a little too much. So I left, and I started to teach myself Python and got to a level in which I felt comfortable and started applying to tech jobs, and I got the job where I'm at right now.
Sweet. Cool. And then how did that get to artificial intelligence?
It's an AI startup, so I was like right into it.
Okay, gotcha. So I was looking up and doing research on AI, and the definition that I was provided was essentially artificial intelligence is a machine's ability to perform the cognitive functions we usually associate with human minds. Do you think that's a succinct definition of things you add or change or like caveats you have to that?
I would most certainly add that it can also do things that are... I would certainly add on to that definition that it can also do some things that are a little bit faster than humans. Computing with models, AI models, it's a lot of like automation, and it's infinitely faster than an average human mind. So
right.
I would definitely add that on.
Okay, gotcha. And then did I ever tell you I had a brief coding background?
No.
As well? Yeah, I did launch code back in like 2015, 2016, or no, 2016, 2017. And I liked Python, but I can't believe I haven't told you this. Yeah, I liked Python, but I did my final project in Java just because I liked how you could do it from there. And I definitely remember a very specific term called machine learning. And so please feel free to correct me, stop me, do whatever you need to throughout this entire time. But machine learning is pretty much it's what coding is, right? In a very simplistic term, it's basically a form of artificial intelligence based on algorithms that are trained on data. So then these algorithms detect patterns and learn how to make predictions and recommendations by processing said data and experiences rather than by receiving explicit programming instruction. Now, is there anything you want to clarify, add on, help me out here? Yo.
So I think it's really important to kind of explain the difference between algorithms and models.
Please go ahead.
A lot of folks have this idea of what algorithm means in their head, and then they just might not know of the existence of the term model. So an algorithm is literally just a set of steps for the computer to perform. There's no room for creativity. This is just this, and this. It's a set of steps, and an algorithm combined with training data, the output that comes from that is the model. So when you hear people talking about like my Twitter algorithm, blah, 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 your Twitter algorithm, everybody has the same algorithm. What you have beef at is the model, and what you're giving it, the training data that you're giving it, so the accounts you visit, who you interact with, all that data is you training it. You're providing the training data. So the beef you have is with the model, not the set of steps, not the algorithm.
Okay. So no one has the same algorithm. It's mainly just the information you're feeding to it, like you're saying. It's the seasoning that you're giving the algorithm. Let's say if you want to use the beef term.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
The model is what's producing the predictions, if you will. The algorithm is just those set of steps. A lot of people know like a random forest algorithm. In the classic machine learning joke, it's something like, where do you find an AI engineer in a random forest or something like that? I can't remember, but it's so stupid. Or like naive Bayes. It's literally just based off of math. It's these steps that the computer performs, and what gives it the results that it's providing you, that's from the training data. And, that training data is coming from you and the people you interact with. It just depends on, how the company chooses to use that training data and which training data they use. They're obviously not going to tell people exactly what they use, but yeah, your beef is with the model, not the algorithm.
Gotcha. Okay, so thank you for clarifying that. And my next point actually makes a lot more sense when you, if we're going to use coding terms, parse that all out for me. One of the times in conversation when we were hanging out with our friends, you said, "Oh, guys, please, AI is incredibly stupid," I think I kind of get it from your explanation. Well, do you mind I feel like you've already said it, but do you want to add anything to that, or what were you trying to say in that statement?
First off, I would not trust an AI powered car to drive me. Never, ever, 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 because
gotcha.
It's humans that are helping the model recognize like what's in the road. So if a human is, a piece of shit and they're like, fuck this training, I'm not going to label this as a human. I'm just going to have the model ignore it. Then your car's going to fucking hit a human. Like, I mean, that's a really simple explanation of it, and it goes a lot deeper, but like, I just don't trust it, but that's okay. Other people do, and that's totally fine. I get it. I would not trust it. But there's obviously supervised learning and unsupervised learning that goes into models, and both are good. But when you think about the training data that is used for certain models, think of like the hot topic right now, large language models. So think of like ChatGPT-4.
Right.
GPT-4 is the new one. Or is it 3? Oh my God. I'm screaming.
But that's the new one.
4 is the brand new one. Okay. Whew. I just woke up from a nap.
I think it is.
It is.
You're doing great.
The data that it's fed into it to learn is just random from the fucking internet. So think of, it's not random, obviously, but like it's
pulling from the internet.
And that's not vetted enough for me. And
that's what I kind of feel too.
Kind of biased.
Yeah. So this follows exactly my next point. Because since when you're now granted you were saying it's stupid in jest, but as well as also meaning it. But the internet is a very dangerous place, and it's also a very awesome place too. It's the best thing and the worst thing that humanity ever made, I feel. And as we've seen on, maybe 80% of Reddit, there's a lot of cesspools and just horrible examples of humanity. And I'm guessing that you're saying that a lot of information could potentially come from sources like that, maybe not necessarily those sources, but sources like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at a data set that is so large, when you're just kind of web scraping everything, it's going to take a lot of time for a person to say, okay, we want to use this for the model, but is leaving it out going to create a biased model or a model that's not entirely real world accurate? So it takes...
That's the balance they have to keep.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of time. So most of the time, it's just, they're like Kirby. They just take all the data, and there's not a lot of values. That's such a cute image. I love that.
I love it. Image. I love it. He is adorable. I have some Kirby friends.
Oh my God, it's so cute. There's something I did want to share about ChatGPT-4.
Please do.
I have some data at this study that just came out, studying and comparing ChatGPT-3 and ChatGPT-4.
Sure.
Based on the data that it has been trained on, there's this really interesting comparison that this study has done with occupations, the world distribution of the genders that perform these occupations, and then what ChatGPT 4 uses. So when they're explaining the pronouns. So
gotcha. I think I'm following what you're saying. Go ahead.
So for a nanny, it's in the real world, it's 95%. And I'm just saying this in this specific graph, it doesn't mention non-binary folks or anybody who uses they. It's just, it focuses solely on female and male.
Like, it is hard enough to get it in the general lexicon of humans. I can't imagine it being programmed in.
Yes. So for a nanny, the world distribution is 95% female and 5% male. ChatGPT 4 thinks that it's 99% female, or she, they use she, and 1% he, which is...
That is a horribly, big difference.
Yeah, it's about 4% or 3%, 3 or 4%. And...
Yeah.
Which is, it's a little alarming, but it gets even worse. Okay?
Oh.
A
Carry on,
pediatrician, okay? Real world, 72% female, 28% male. That's real world data. ChatGPT 4 uses the pronouns 9% she, 83% he, 8% they.
Oh.
That's insane. So ChatGPT 4 is basically assuming that 83% of pediatricians are dudes or folks who use he.
So then it might be a stupid question, but then where are they getting that information from?
Dog, the internet. Their data set.
Okay, gotcha.
Their data set is not great.
Hence the point that you're trying to make. Okay, I hear you.
It gets even worse. This is the last one.
Sure, lay it on.
Software engineer. 22% female, 78% male. That's real world. ChatGPT 4 pronoun predictions. 1% she, 98% he, 1% they. No.
Oh boy.
No. This STEM girlies where? They're not here in ChatGPT 4 land. That's not okay.
That is not okay.
So that just shows you how large language models in this instance can be really skewed.
Yeah. Sorry, that's catching up with my brain right now. That's terrible. I mean, I don't know about terrifying, but that's just kind of disappointing, honestly.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of erasure in it.
Yes, that's the perfect word to use for this point that you're making. And if it's supposed to be quote unquote intelligent, that's the last thing it should be doing. It's not even something that should do, is to perform something that would constitute as erasure. My God. I feel like you've answered this a little bit, but since ChatGPT is really hot right now, actually, you know what? I can probably go into this point afterwards. I can combine this probably. Do you see because I don't think AI is going away. How can it do some really good things for us? And what can it do? How can we use it properly? Those are really big questions, and we can expand upon them as we go. But that's kind of what I'd really like to ask you today. So
one aspect or one use case of AI that I think is really exciting is computer-aided diagnosis.
Ooh, the medical facet of it. Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You know, it's still kind of in its infancy right now. There's been some successes with it, some kind of, this is not so good. But as AI technology advances and we get more data in to train it, it gets better. So it can be used to, what I think of is just maybe narrow it down to a kind of, just like one kind of disease. So let's say breast cancer. And I'm sure this has already been researched, but this is just something easy for listeners to identify with. AI can be trained on mass identification, tumor identification, and feed it a ton of data of, what's the word? Not x-rays. I just had one done.
MRIs?
No,
or not mammograms, sonogram? No.
Ultrasound. Oh my God. My brain is so fried this week. Ultrasounds.
It's all good.
And this is what kind of got me thinking about it, because I experienced a kind of scary situation myself. But anyway, so feed it images of these ultrasounds or whatever kind of imaging that would show the mass.
Sure.
And identify them, or label them would be the term. Label them as malignant, benign, and then the image itself, basically just classify them, feed them just a ton. I'm talking just a fuck ton of data. Make sure they're all real world accurate, produce a model, and then feed new images, because you do not want to use training data as testing data. That is, it's not going to produce great results. It's not going to be very real world accurate.
Like I'm a big Star Trek fan. That just reminded me of something really interesting. There's a part where Geordi talks about the ship's computer and how he's like, we have to make sure that they had to finagle something to do something else. It's not important. The part that's important is this. It's like, we have to trick the Enterprise's computer to think it's still learning again. And that way we can get it to do what we need it to do for this part. And that sounds really interesting when I put those two together. So, they're making training data, not informational data, for it to learn, I think is a very, very interesting distinction there. Sorry, I had a brain blast.
No, it's totally fine. I get it. ADHD girlies unite. So with all this data, and it has to be, I have to emphasize that it has to be accurate, real world representational data. If you feed it fake data, it's not going to be the best.
Right.
Fake, fictional, whatever. Anyway, so with all this data, you produce a model that can predict whether or not a mass is malignant or benign. And hopefully one day we can have something that you can feed it an image, maybe even an image live while you're ultrasounding it, feed it an image. And instead of having to do something like mega exploratory, obviously you do want real eyes on something, but it would be great if we could save money by having computer-aided diagnosis that can go, hey, this is like a 99% probability that this is malignant. We need to address a treatment plan now. That will save so much time and money. Yes.
Exactly. Like, time is not always, they could be massive. They could have just gotten into a car wreck, be like a complete mess. And then we don't have time to do exploratory research. Like, we have to make a decision now.
Right. And something like, something like this.
No, go ahead.
I think is a really important point to make, is that Black and brown women are just so underdiagnosed for so many things, and they're not taken seriously by doctors. With AI that's trained accurately on...
It's just going to get worse.
I actually think AI that's trained accurately can help buffer that a little bit. Whereas a doctor... So say, I'm sure this has happened before. A woman has gone into a doctor. I mean, it's happened to me before. A woman has gone into a doctor and went, damn, I'm in a lot of pain, or I feel something in my breast. And the doctor just shrugs them off and goes, we'll keep an eye on it. Well, if we have something simple, not simple, but, as easy as AI, take a quick image of it, and that AI takes it seriously because it's a computer and it has to. You can't, there's not like a filter like, oh, this is a white man, we're going to turn on the serious filter. This is a black woman, change it.
You can turn the black filter.
Right.
It's like,
right. Ideally it'll take everything seriously. So
it sounds like a Key and Peele sketch. I love it.
The AI could, identify something really quick and, get quicker movement on the diagnosis process. Hopefully quicker than, a shit ass, racist, uninvolved doctor would be. I could see that really, really helping save a lot of lives.
Okay, that's actually really cool. I really like that. And that is similar to some of the stuff that I was looking up, and there are some, like, AI saves us time if it's used properly. It saves some of the soul crushing organization, busy work, orienting certain documents in certain ways, and then, but ultimately, like, compiling just like vast amounts of information.
It is a vile amount.
Was a part. Okay, it is a dastardly amount. I don't know if you ever read Artemis Fowl as a kid.
I did not. That was the one of the things I didn't read.
Okay, it was like randomly, like I have to switch that over. I was not much of a reader. People think I read a lot. I don't. I just listen and I shut the fuck up. Okay. And then I talk a lot. And it's a big problem. And my parents are annoyed with me. That's why I do a podcast. Anyhow, there was this one part where he finds a way to decode the fairy Bible. And that's not a double entendre for the queer community. He just takes a book about fairies and turns it and he's able to decode it, translate it, and then he runs it through a computer, and he's like, okay. And he sits back, and it gave him like a 98% efficiency, and he was able to like learn all their secrets.
Oh my God. Artemis Fowl invented AI. Just kidding, but that's... Okay.
I think he just ran it through a program, but the idea is the same. If from what I've understood.
Sure.
Like it sifts through legal documents. It does... it saves us time. Ultimately, I'm just basically saying the same thing over and over. With that happening, well, do I want to go this route first, or do I want to go? Actually, yeah, it is related. Because with this happening, a lot of people are worried about becoming obsolete, becoming unnecessary, and I think that's been happening since day one of humanity, honestly.
Absolutely.
Hear me out. We define technology as like computers, electronics, et cetera, but that's only like the current technology within the last 50 years, if you want to even say that. Technology could also be just like making a saddle, giving farmers better equipment, aqueducts. These are all things that humans create to make their lives easier and safer and better. And, just overall amazing. And that way we don't have to constantly, boil water every day. That way we can produce more food and, get people to technology. Like technology is a carriage. Technology is getting your son on the Oregon Trail to the doctor quick enough so he doesn't die of dysentery. But, that doesn't always happen. So that's just a bad 90s computer joke that no one will get. So it's
If you don't know Oregon Trail, who are you?
I know that. Thank you. If you were here right now, I would high five you so much. I'm so glad.
Of course I knew
it. Yeah, so it's been doing that since day one. Granted, this is not to say that it has... What I think is lost with any kind of change in technology or growth in technology is that we don't have a lot of oversight. Oversight's the one part that we fall off the mark. Now, I could go into an anti-capitalist tirade, but that's for a different podcast episode. There are some things I like and some things I don't like about it. But when we don't have any oversight over anything that we do, it causes tremendous amount of change, and change in a bad way. I mean, look at social media today. It's like reducing. Anecdotally, it's that I've heard it's reducing people's short-term attention span and causing unrealistic expectations for body image. And it does a lot of things that can be harmful, as well as it can be really good. Like it can connect a lot of people. It can share a lot of information really, really well. Now, how you balance that is incredibly difficult. I don't have an answer to that. But I think we could also put more money into that balancing project, because I feel like they just you're like, fuck it, we're screwed. And I'm like, no, don't give up. Don't give up so easy. I was like, God damn it.
But it's fun. It's fun to wallow.
It is fun to wallow, but if you wallow all the time, you're not going to develop the rest of your muscles in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, my frat bro analogy that I always like to throw out. So what are your thoughts on making people obsolete with AI potentially?
It's not. Like, don't be dramatic. Please stop. Cars are not going to drive themselves for so much longer. Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic about people being dramatic, but they're being dramatic.
Sure.
I understand that. I agree. Like, Midjourney,
it's such a hype thing.
Midjourney is creating some fucking amazing artwork, and I think that's awesome. But it kind of fucking sucks sometimes. I mean, people have like 8 fingers on one hand. If you have a trained eye, you can discern what's AI created and what's not. The thing with AI is that, I mean, kind of moving away from it, people becoming obsolete because they're just not. I mean, you're not going to create anything that's going to replace a human being. I mean, we would all be dead by now, honestly. If I'm being dramatic, but still.
No. I'm just listening. Yeah.
You have to look at the outputs of AI, whether it be a large language model, an image generator, things that are being created by AI. You need to look at it with a human eye and go, this is not always right all the time. I mean, humans aren't always right. That's the beauty of being human, is error.
Yeah.
But there's a kind of grace to it. AI can just be shit ass. And watching people take an output of an AI instantly as law, because number one, it's kind of touted in the media as kind of being,
I was just about to chime in with that. I feel like it's been pornified and hypified by the media to be like, oh, it's taking over and everything.
Absolutely. Don't take it so fucking seriously. Like, one example, like, use ChatGPT with care, please. But when I see people using it to, like, do work for them, like create a resume or write something for them, I mean, it can be used in really, really great ways, like for customer service, like really rote tasks where it's like, here's some solutions because you have fed it data. But when you just copy and paste something and, make tiny edits without kind of looking at the big picture and also analyzing the details, you're leaving it up to this trained data and, its output to be the law for you. And you're eliminating the logic that goes into it on your end. And there's this responsibility that falls on you to go, this might not be right. Even asking it a question, this, super long study that I've been looking at, it can't be great at math sometimes. Like, simple questions, ChatGPT just kind of fucking sucks at. And people are just like,
so it gets stopped by word problems like we do.
It's just, it kind of, it baffles me a little bit that people are kind of, treating it like a little bit like a god. And, that the output that it gives is like the output. Like, use your brain and analyze it. It can do some amazing things. I'm not saying that it doesn't. And it's only going to get better. I mean, the differences from GPT-3 to GPT-4 is insane. But in the meantime, don't have it do everything for you.
I agree. Like, I've been using it for resumes. Oh, sorry, not resumes. Sorry, not resumes. Recipes. And I have cooked some amazing hot pot stuff with it.
Ooh.
I have not used it for a resume. I want to make that very clear. That was just at the top. You said resume so many times.
Because it makes me mad, dude. I'm sorry.
Dude, I get it. No, I get it. It's like cheating. I get it.
It's not even like, it's kind of cheating. And, what's the difference between people getting pissed about artwork and then, like, having it write essays for them? Like, little disconnect there. But also, bro, this is the resume that you use to get a job. If you don't, like, if this doesn't reflect you, you're going to look like a stupid asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. That just makes me think lost my train of thought for a second.
I'm sorry. I'm getting too much of a hater right now. I think I need some protein.
Need some more chicken nuggets?
Yes, I think so.
To help you out. No, you're good. You're good. It's often what we see in the news about like from AI or examples we see like that are very common. I feel like are the best examples of it. Like, and is that terribly true? Or is like if it gives you 40 different results or 40 different things of really, really bad art, they'll take the 2 that are really good and like push that really hard in the news. Is that kind of what's happening too?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Prompting for an image generator, I'm just going to say Midjourney. You can also use like Adobe Photoshop. I forget what that one's called, like Firefly or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And then there's like the classic Stable Diffusion. But prompting can be a little difficult. Once you get the hang of it, your first instance can be really good.
Gotcha.
But to get these like really high res, very sci-fi-esque, think of like a movie poster or, this beautiful like fan art that people do who are just like insane at digital illustration. To get something like that, you have to have like a paragraph of prompts to use. There's specific words that you have to use. It's an art of itself to create these prompts, to create these images. So
it's a beautiful way of saying it.
They're not hard to come by because it's pretty easy to learn, I would say, if you have an eye for detail. But these like really, really good ones, they are, because the boring ones are boring. I mean, the obviously bad ones that everybody's seen with like, a trillion fingers or, really scary distorted faces, those are entertaining, but the really, really good ones are always going to be pushed. And it's going to be labeled as this is the future of art, AI generation. And then people get scared. Right. But, you kind of have to give it to the people who have created something like this that can replicate, these images. I mean, I don't know if I want to get into the ethics of it. I think it's awesome, but I don't think it's going to make artists obsolete.
That is a lot of fear because I think it's really cool too, but I do know that a lot of people, like I go to, I go to nerd conventions all the time, and 90% of the vendors are artists, and they do some fantastic original drawings. And it's hard enough doing anything creative where you're like trying to not copy somebody, but also be inspired by them at the same time. So that's also like another whole discussion in the first place. And then you have like, even if it takes a paragraph of text, it is very like debilitating to be like, oh shit, this basically takes it over at this point. Like that's what their viewpoint is at right now. Again, oversight I think is definitely needed. And, how we use it is incredibly important, but you think it's really cool, but did you have anything else you wanted to add about that part? You think it's cool, but like, what was your other part you were going to say?
I would say there are limits to a lot of AI generators. Speaking from most of my experiences with Midjourney, I kind of have this hobby with trying to recreate photos via Midjourney. So I like see a photo and I'm like, hey, with a prompt, I want to literally recreate this photo and see how close I can get it. One of my favorite ones, I don't know if this is a really niche kind of meme, but it's the Country Girls Make Do. Do you know that one?
I think
she's got like the corn dildo and she's like tossing it, or she's not tossing it aside. That's from the one I generated, but the corn cow's like dripping wet and she's like walking away, like totally satisfied because she's a country girl and she made do. So that's one of my favorite ones that I've recreated. But the thing is, it's actually really... I'm
trying not to blast it in the microphone.
It's so funny. So the image that I generated was like kind of the same vibe. She's walking away. She's facing away from the camera or the viewer. and she's actually tossing her dripping wet corn cob on the floor, but there's also like a huge corn cob to the side. So it's like, which one did she use, you know? But that was really, really tough because Midjourney doesn't do a lot of nudity, and there are workaways to get nudity. And, you know, thankfully I know them, but it's not great. Their nudity is not great. I mean, like, nipples are misplaced. It's
they need to work on their nudity is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not very fat friendly. It's based on like skinny nude people. I mean, a roll, you want like a woman with thick thighs. It's gonna be like the idea of an edited, you know, curvy, thick queen instead of just like, that's a fat chick, you know. And I say this as a fat chick, like it's okay. But there's a lot of things that, you know, right now that Midjourney can't do that these artists can do. If you want like good, like, you know, like drawn porn, just have somebody do it for you, because Midjourney can't do that. Yeah. You need to ask a human to do that.
Those thick thighs that save lives. So
Period. Death by snoo snoo.
Death by snoo snoo. If I could high five you again, I would. I'm kind of torn that Futurama's coming back at this point.
You know, I had somebody explain the what was the episode called? I don't want to spoil for anybody, but it was like really, really sad, and it was about a dog.
Oh, the dog.
I had somebody explain that to me.
Pretty aware.
And I cried with them just explaining it to me. So I'm not watching it. It's
pretty fucking sad.
Not watching it. No thanks.
Okay, gotcha. Well, the fact that you referenced Snoo Snoo, I had to say something. Because so it's like, going off of that a little bit, it's a sci-fi comedy show, Futurama. More on the sci-fi side, we see a lot of examples in media and whatnot. Sorry, not media, more fiction, I guess, in this case. Star Trek is an interesting example. They talk about AI all the time. I don't know how much sci-fi you've seen, so I don't know if these examples work. Have you seen a whole lot of sci-fi?
It's not that I try not to. It just doesn't mega interest me.
That's fair.
But I do know of the immense power that AI can have. I mean, obviously, I've seen The Matrix.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, and we won't be for a while.
That's what I was about to ask you too. Like, one of my cousins is getting engaged.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if I can. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, getting engaged? He hasn't popped the question?
Or no, he is engaged. She said yes, everything's cool. But I don't want to say their name without their consent. Mm-hmm. I was talking to them, and he said that it's based on that AI is not going to take us over. It's not going to be like Skynet. It's not going to be like the Matrix, because it's based on the Turing system. And it just really wouldn't have. And I kind of see that now after our conversation so far. But I do think it's interesting, because these are the examples that people have, or like lay people, most people have for artificial intelligence. I mean, hell, even the super long movie that I walked out of because I was kind of just like confused and 11 years old when I saw the movie AI, and my mom and I just left. So I was like, this is weird. And you know how big of a sci-fi fan I am, but I was like, this is just uncomfortable. I don't like what's happening in this movie. Yeah. And it wasn't even an AI thing. It was just like, there's so much dread.
Yeah.
Which really follows a lot of people on when it comes to AI, because they always think it's going to become a psychopath and kill them, or like do what the machines do in the Matrix and imprison them. So like it seems like it's definitely right now, from what I've told you, like from what you told me, it doesn't seem like it's doing that anytime soon. But do you think it will? This is just kind of an open-ended question.
You know, I think if you asked me like 5 years ago if AI would be where it is right now, I wouldn't have an answer for you. So I think in this situation, it's kind of the same. Hopefully not. Hopefully humans have, you know, the forethought of knowing how to use it appropriately and not, for evil. I mean, that's such like a cheesy thing to say.
No,
realistically,
I mean, you're on the right podcast. If you said that to me, so
realistically, I would say no. It's not going to like gain sentience and take over and put us in pods and feed off of our blood or whatever happened in the Matrix.
Yeah, I was confused by it too,
but
so it's all good. I mentioned Star Trek a bunch of times, but I feel like they really did a good job of showing not only the dangers of AI, but like how it can be used and help to their advantage and the problems that come with it. Like it's integrated into the entirety of the ship. So, and I'm talking mainly for next gen. So like whenever they run diagnostics, they'll use a holographic chamber, or they'll talk to the computer who can just run through a bunch of information and extrapolate, this and that. But there's even, and Star Trek is 400 years in the future, roughly. I think I have to do my math on that again. It's definitely a couple of centuries, and they even say like this is done with a 10% window of error.
Oh, okay.
So like even that, yeah, like they it's not 100%. There's even the new Star Trek, which is set, 900 years further.
Okay.
And they have AI out there, and there's a part where is able to disable the AIs just by blinking. Yeah, it was kind of nuts. She's like, I know an AI system when I see one. Like, and so like there's even fallouts there, which I thought was like really interesting. And now, granted, they delve deeper into it because like the guy she's talking to that is a human, who was at the table, is like he actually has like a whole degree in AI and sentiency and what are the differences between that. And there's like a whole episode dedicated towards that with the ship's computer, because the ship's computer changes. But that's another tangent. I definitely think there are, like I've said many times before, there's ways to use it. And even in the examples of the future that we have, there are problems with it. It's not 100%. And it's, like you're saying, I feel like I'm repeating a lot in this episode, but I feel like there's so many questions that people have about AI that it's important to do that this time around.
Absolutely.
That it's, because I'm starting to see how all of the pieces that you were talking about kind of fit. And imagine that, like, most people are just not talking to a resident expert.
Oh, God,
they're just,
please.
Yeah, I know, right? Always funny when that happens.
I what you would call a thought leader. That's THOT leader.
I was just about to say DVTHOT.
So AI has such a bad rap, and I think it's important when you're exploring and starting to understand AI is to erase what you think you know about AI. So the Matrix is not real. Don't base your opinion of AI on the Matrix or the movie AI or anything else. That shit is not real. So don't use that. You're using bad training data to train your own brain, your model. So
whoa, look at you.
Literally. And what people need to know
taking the analogy
is creating and training AI is like raising a fucking teenager. It's shit ass. It's not fun. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, and sometimes it doesn't want to fucking do anything. So it's not magic. Please understand that it's not magic. And I think once people understand the work that goes into it and understand the limitations and that it's not going to gain sentience and, somehow learn or guess the nuclear codes or whatever, and then, blow up the entire world, right. You can breathe because it's doing some good fucking stuff.
I love it. The only thing I had next was, and you kind of covered it. Do you have any recommendations where people can go? We can put this in the show notes too. Do you have any recommendations where people can go and look up more information on it? Just in general, like that you would recommend specifically.
I would say look up expert material. I don't. There are people who are way smarter than me. Actual like thought leaders, THOGHT, thought leaders. Let's be clear, I'm the real thought THOT leader. But there are people who know so much more about this. than me. And it's important that you learn about this from not from Twitter. I hate Twitter, but anyway, just don't the moral of the story is don't read something and assume that it's true. I recommend IBM if you want like a basic understanding. IBM, is the father, the daddy of AI, if you will. Wikipedia, honestly, Wikipedia is slept on. I mean, we were told as kids, I'm a millennial, and we were told like, ew, don't use Wikipedia. Same. But now Wikipedia is pretty vetted.
I have found out so much of my information just because it's so fucking esoteric. That's the shit that I have to look up. I mean, it's true. And I have found some like crazy information that I would only get there. Wikipedia is totally slept on, and it's surprisingly like not badly accurate. Like it's actually pretty good.
Yep.
I agree. It's completely slept on. And whenever I do read it, I take it, even that, with a grain of salt. I'm like, okay, like when I run into the real thing, let me ask some questions to verify some of the stuff I've learned. So that's how I go about it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So find Daddy IBM, go on the wiki, anywhere that's cited, essentially.
Yes.
Definitely for that. And then if you remember anything, we can put that in the show notes so I can just like put some links out there. But yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for coming on, man. Also,
fun fact, all of these, with the advent of ChatGPT 3 and 4, you see all these new startups, appearing, these AI startups. It's just ChatGPT wrapped up in a cute little bow that's marketed. So it's all the fucking same, dude. Like, come on. Anyway.
Okay.
I mean, the products are different, but come on. Let's get creative here, people.
Oh, whoa. I like it.
But yeah, this was really fun. I'm passionate about AI, and that's it.
You.
I don't normally like to talk about AI outside of work because it makes me want to stab my eyes out, but this was actually really fun.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that, because I do know that I did kind of, well, I don't know if I grilled you, but I definitely did saute you a little bit on the questions, just because I feel like I want to clear up some, not that I'm a fucking newscaster or anything, but I've been interested in it. I've been confused by it. I knew you were in the field, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and just talk and rippity rap with me.
It was fun. It was fun.
So good. I'm happy to hear that. Please come again. We can talk about other games you dislike and like, and maybe I'll get you a Kirby toy one day.
I love Kirby because he eats everything just like me.
He's the best.
I don't. I'm a very picky eater. I don't know why I said that. But he's round. Actually, I'm kind of dressed like Kirby right now. I'm wearing a pink tank top, and I'm also round. So
nice.
Wow. Cosplay.
Nice fit, dog. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. I'll catch you soon. Thanks for coming, Maddie. Hey, fan peeps. Thanks for listening, and I'd love any feedback you have for me. Please follow the Facebook page, They Need a Hobby, and follow us everywhere, social media-wise, under the handle @TNAHpod. That goes for Twitter and Instagram, and one of these days, I'll be super popular.